time is it? 12:23. So starting at 12:23, this is gonna, anything that's on the screen is gonna show up on a video. And this does have the ability to pick up audio. It won't sound great. What I do is if I'm making a video purposely for kids to see, I will actually get from our media specialist, I don't need the headphones. What I need is the microphone. It goes into a USB, and now I get a little better audio, so I don't have to project so much, and I can talk about what I'm doing as I go through a problem or something like that. And this is a pretty long throw, but not quite long enough, so I'm not going to use it. I tested it. You can hear me just fine with wherever the microphone is over here. It seemed to work just fine. If I go away from Smart and I go to my desktop, it shows that on video. And I found out 35 minutes ago that there's another similar looking icon that does just what you're showing here. So I panicked a little bit. Wait a second, that's not working the way it's supposed to. So this is actually going to, anything that's on the screen, it's going to save it all. And I will put this on YouTube at the end, and we'll come up with a title so that you'll know what to search if that's something that you'd like to
minimize that and go to YouTube, play a video, and it's recording it too?
It's recording everything. Yep, everything that's on the screen. And we can, we do it, show that at the end when we're all done. You can see what it looks like. So we're all set there. So some basics before we get into some of the drawings. Adding a page, removing a page, that's going to be your add a page. So this right here shows how many pages I have. So I can add a page, I can take a page away. If I have multiple pages, I have arrows to go back and forth between them. So I can do that. Not to be confused with these arrows, which is your undo and your redo. So if I just want to start with one page, I can do that. It's on auto hide, so as soon as I touch somewhere else, it disappears on me, and I can always go back. I have those same icons down here, so I can add a page. I can subtract a page without having to use up there. Same thing. This is advancing backward, advancing forward. And I can always double check how many pages do I have. I want just the one page for now. And I have the option of renaming a page or cutting and pasting and everything else, and I'll get to some of those as well here in just a second. So adding our pages, we've got that located right there. Our page advancing versus our undo and our redo. Some things that I'll do is I'll be up here drawing and presenting with the students. I will also sometimes have drawings already pre-made and ready to go. I know I'm going to need a picture of this, and I'll go ahead and do that ahead of time. Maybe we're working on a worksheet, and so one of the things that I can do is I can go to my files here, my Smart Presentation, and so my Rocket Intro. And so I have just a basic worksheet right here. I can go to File, I can go to Print, and when you go to your list, it's already highlighted because I've done this already today. It's at the bottom, typically Smart Notebook Document Writer. You highlight that, and once it's highlighted, you can do the same old, just page 1 and 2, however you want to do it, and you just hit the print button. And what's going to happen is I'm going to get some choices. I don't know what those do. I click on print, and what I get is something that looks like that. These are the 2 pages of my worksheet, and they're on a separate, file, but what I can do is I can copy and paste these over into one that I'm working with. So if I wanted to use the graphs or I wanted to use my data table, I can use those. So I could go to my desktop because I'd rather do all my typing and working over here. So I can click on this and I can do a copy of the page, and then I can go to my template, which I'm working on here, and I can go to edit, and I can do paste. You can do all the keyboard shortcuts if you know those, but if you don't, there I go. So I go back over here, and so I can see that I have just brought in a slide, and I can bring in, I can bring in both of those. So if I go back over here, I can go to this one here, I can hit the copy, I can put it back over here. So now my edit and paste. So now I've got both of those. I can change the order just like I can in most of our PowerPoint type things. So I can change these orders if I want.
What's
And
the
if I
difference
want,
between this page and the page that you cut from? Or copied from?
it's not, there is no difference. It's
Oh,
just
there
it's just a different file. So
Okay.
if this is you know, projectile day
Yeah.
1, and I hit print, it shows up on this file, and I just drag it over in the file that I want.
Okay.
And if I want my blank screen, I can always just add that, and I can put that whatever, and I can reorganize that.
So you're saying you can take a Word document, change it.
I can take a Word, anything that can print. As far as I've done PDFs and Word, anything that can print, I don't think I've done Excel. If I can print it, that print to Smart is an option, and it makes it a slide. It makes it a slide for me. Okay. Now, one thing about this that I found, and is if you're going through here and you're trying to maybe draw with your finger or whatever else, and you accidentally do one of these, and oh, the whole slide just slid. I didn't want that. I can undo that, and the best way to keep that from sliding on you, because I never want it to slide, I want it to be anchored in so I can draw on there, is you just do a right click right on there, and you should have a lock option. Lock in place. So now if I accidentally touch with my, now it's just part of the background. And so that's how I like using that. One thing with this, you can't just use your finger to scroll side to side or up and down, because that's just going to highlight stuff. So you do have to use the scroll bar, so that is one downside. You can't just kind of throw your hand and the whole thing slides. But now I have this ready to go, and I can draw in there, I can add in whatever it is that I'd like to do. So I've done notes, I've done worksheets where I put them on there, and so instead of going over it old school, I can just have kids come up and they can write in the answers, but I have a copy of it right there. And what I have done is I have taken this, and this is where no kids in class, I'll get the microphone so that it sounds better, and I'll go through and I'll do a worksheet, because I asked the kids if they would use it. They said yes, and they've shown that they have used it. I'll do a worksheet, and I'll talk my way through it just like if I was presenting to kids. Okay, first here's our equation. I'm writing it all out. They can see all the keystrokes, and then I put it to YouTube, and so they can not just see the answers, but they can also see how it's done, which is how I've used that. Again, I use a microphone that just sounds better rather than the tinny kind of sound that you get from the microphone that this one has. Let's see here. So if I go back here to just a basic here, as you go through and you're writing, and you get down towards the bottom here, and what we'll do is we'll kind of make some marks here. So if I get down to the bottom, you'll notice at the bottom there is an extend page. You can keep on extending the page and extending the page and extending the page. But what I found is that when you extend the page once, it kind of makes it more into a standard page. And at the end, when I show you how to save this to a PDF, it just kind of fits the nice size frame. So personally, I will extend the page once, but again, I can keep on going and the page just gets longer and longer. I'll extend the page once because to me, it just kind of visually and logistically fits nicely when you export this to a PDF. So moving up and down, you have to use the scroll. If we go to, let's see here.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes, you may. Absolutely.
That chart that you had up,
Yep, that was something I made on Word.
if you write
Years
in
ago.
that chart and then you move your page up, will your stuff stay in the chart?
So if I put something right there, and so now that's
Okay.
yeah. So that this is the page,
Gotcha.
and the ink stays on the same spot on the page.
Okay.
That's because you turned it into a smart file.
Because I made it, I printed it to the Smart document and I locked it in place. If I didn't lock it in place and I just touched the scroll, it would still do the same thing. It's just
Okay.
you might by accident touch your picture and then
Yeah.
your picture slides. And if I did that, if I wasn't locked in place, so if I had this one, I locked this one. If I did this and drew a graph, and then I accidentally did one of these, and this will stay because
Yeah.
this is on the page and that
Okay.
shifts.
So you could modify a document if you had like a series of problems you didn't have space to work on. You could modify it first, give space to work on it, and then lock it in place, and then
Sure.
do the answer key in there, and it would all stay.
Yeah, so once you lock this stays on the page and it doesn't move. Wherever you write your ink, that never moves either.
That's going to stay
So-
wherever that is.
Yeah. Yep. If we go here, and let's see here. If I draw a line, I want to show you this one aspect here. If I highlight something, lots of times throughout here, you're going to see, and I haven't seen anywhere else, the clone button. The clone is copy and paste all in one button. So if I hit the clone button, I just get another one. So if you're used to copying and pasting, you don't have to do that. You have the clone button. And I'm going to show that throughout as we go through, whether it's hand drawings, whether it's shapes that you draw, anything else. So that clone button I find to be very, very convenient. Okay, so let's see here. So let's see, it's not popping up, so let's see here. So somewhere, where's my hand icon? Where's my marker icon? Okay, that's not good. There should be. I apologize. Let's go. Toolbars. And if anyone knows what I'm talking about, there's a little icon that shows the little pointer hand that usually stays right here. It pops up automatically when I'm doing this every other time.
Is it under the tools menu?
It could be. Tools. I'm not seeing it. If I just pick one of these. Oh dear.
Can you add it to your, can you customize your toolbar? Can you add it to it right now?
Possibly. Maybe that's, so let's go toolbar options. I apologize. So let's see here. Typically what happens is, as soon as you start using your hand on the board, this little hand icon pops up. As soon as you pick up a marker icon pops up, and I'm seeing none of those. So we will, oh, is that what that is? Oh, that is smart. It said it was disabled. Okay.
If you just search in your, right here, search Smarty, can you like at the bottom, like where you would search, right here to search on the Windows taskbar at the bottom.
Okay. Let's see. I apologize. It said that it was disabled. I didn't think about that. That's what it was called. There it is. Thank you, Eddie. Thank you very much. Okay. So, I'm still learning. So that little hand icon right there, you touch on that and that gives you some options. This is the default, takes you back to the pointer, or you can touch that, the pointer. If you have the pointer, you can move things, but you can't add things, whether intentionally or by accident, you won't make that mistake. What I can do is I can hit the little marker button, and now I have, I'll get to this up here in a second, now I have some real quick options. I can have a fine red pen, I can have a thick green pen, and so that allows me to use my hand as my marker. I like having an actual marker in my hand. I have more control, I feel, when I do that, so I'm not a fan of drawing with my hands, but if I'm having the kids come to the board, rather than have them mess with my markers, I take my markers with me, and I simply say, just come up and draw with your finger. And after doing that for about 5 minutes, some of the kids started changing their own colors and everything else because they've seen it done plenty of times. And so the kids always have found it's just a big phone to them, so they enjoy playing around with it. So anytime. So if I look at my slides, if I'm on the right slide and I click off, now I'm drawing, which is where you always kind of want to default back to that arrow so that you don't accidentally do exactly that, because now I can't draw because I'm on my little arrow, my pointer icon. So when it comes to pen, so I can do that right there, or I can come up here and I can click on the pen. So you notice that if I go to my little arrow there, my arrow is selected. If I go to the pens get selected. So the options that I have for pens, I can go through here and I can change my thicknesses, I can change my colors, I can change, I've got a big color wheel that I can use. I can come down here and I can change the type of line that I want to draw. So if I want to draw myself a dashed line, now I've got a dashed line. I can make it so that, I think this is the end. I can end with an arrow, so if I want to show something going there, it gives me an arrow, so I can do all those different things. So I've got the different shapes, I've got the different types of lines that I can draw. Down here I can change the thickness, a little more fine-tuned. Thick is huge, so I can draw really, really thick arrows if I want. And this right here is going to show how transparent it is. So if I do one of those, you'll notice the line seems to be a little lighter, a little more transparent. So you can be fine-tuned over there. When I'm done, I just hit the X. If I'm ready to draw, I can do that, and I can do my drawing. Or if it's open, I can just start my drawing. So I've got all those. Probably not a bad idea. Well, I'll get to that. So I come over here, and this gives me a little bit more fine-tuning of what I'm able to do. So right here, I can click on this, and these are my options. So pen is just what you're seeing up here, and I can modify that as needed. Calligraphy, a crayon has just a weird crayon texture. Highlighter, so if I highlight, it looks like it's going to be in yellow kind of as a default. So if I kind of highlight over that, so basically it's just a transparent color. Text pen is very, very nice. You don't have to draw all that, have great handwriting, but then it turns into font. I can highlight that font and change it around if I want. If I didn't want it to change, I could hit the little red X and it'd go back to my hand drawn. So that's real nice. In that aspect, if I'm writing out a statement or something like that, or a definition the kids need to see. Creative pen is just kind of just a bunch of weird, just different things. I've never found a real need for that. Paintbrush is kind of like crayon, it just has a different texture to it. Magic pen, the disappearing, reappearing ink, it just disappears. I don't know why you would use that, but that's what it does. So slowly, you can do that just in messing. You write out something important and start moving on, and then it slowly fades. I tried shape recognition the other day, and I drew like an arc like that, and that actually worked. I had like a shape like that, and it made like a S the other way, so they might be able to recognize if I want to draw myself a triangle. So that's shape recognition. But I typically usually go with just the pen. So you'll notice that there's a bunch of different things up here. I can go with the black pen, I can go with the red pen, I can go with the blue, I can go with any of these. And so those are my real quick defaults, and I can modify those and save those if I want. If I want something that's not here, I can change it right here on the spot. I want this little pink color here. I can change any of this. And then once I'm ready, so now it'll stay like that until I click on something else, and then when I go back to that same icon, it's back to that black ink. So I can change something for right then and there, or I can just use the defaults that I have. These are the same things that I had when I did the Smart Ink over here. I'll start using the proper name. So these are the same options I have, and I can go over here and I can choose my crayon, my text pen. I can choose it from there as well. So those are the different aspects there. Now, if I want a particular color all the time and it's not one of my defaults, what I have the ability to do is, if I don't want a pink dotted line, I don't have a use for that one, I come over here, and on the side, these are some of the buttons right here. So this A gives me the option to change it. So I could go with, let's see what color would look different. Let's go with this color right here. I can change the line style, I can change the thickness, I can change all of it. And once I'm satisfied, save tool properties. So it should be a blue line, save it. And now I have this blue dotted line. So now I can make my default. So if I want a bunch of black ink with different thicknesses, if I want the same thickness, a bunch of different colors, I can modify this however I want. And so there's my blue dotted line, or my blue dashed line. So that'll be this button here. Anything, and I can do this for everything else I'm about to do. I can make permanent, toolbar tabs with characteristics that I want right here, and I just have to hit save. If I don't hit the save, whatever I do here is a one-time thing, and once I'm done, it defaults back to whichever of these that I click on. Let's see here. Pens. Toolbar favorites.
Sometimes you lose the two boxes, there's two lines you lost up there.
Where?
In your line choices up there, there's empty boxes.
Where?
Yellow and blue.
Oh, it's yellow and it's light blue. Yeah, so. Now what I can do is I can take something that I've already drawn. I go back to my pointer. I can take this line right here. Obviously, lots of stuff kind of falls inside the box, but you can tell that's the one that I pointed on. And I can come over here, and I should be able to change the color, so I can make changes after the fact as well. And then I also have some options over here. I think we're going to get to those options in a little bit, so I'll get those options later.
Show them that infinite column.
I will get to that. I will get to that. So I have options to change as I go through everything. So I can change it after the fact, before the fact. I can change it permanently so that it's part of my toolbar. There's that blue line that Larry can't see. It's still up there.
I can see it now.
See it now?
Now you said it, I can see it.
Yep. Right? So as I said, I do not like drawing with my finger. I don't like that. I've been drawing with the dry erase pen for a long time, and I need that to produce better quality, in my own opinion at least. So what I can do is I can pick up my marker, and then my marker icon pops up. These are only going to work with your finger. When I come over here, though, I can still go through. So I can have my red fine tip pen. I can make this a text pen so that we can do whatever we want to do. And again, over the years, I've tried to make sure my print is very neat, but now it doesn't have to be because it prints it out in font form. And I can change colors. I can change all the things that I could change before.
Did you ever figure out?
This was not allowing me to draw a dotted line. I'm surprised at that. Usually I should be able to draw. I should be able to make it a dotted or a dashed line, but so anyway. So again, I prefer using the pen, and like I said, I can take both pens, and I don't have ever a need for using both pens because if I'm going to need a different color, I just go right here and I change it. But if my 5 and 7-year-old are playing with the board while I'm doing work, 2 pens. Whichever pen you touch there is the pen that modifies. So when my son says, I want a blue pen, I can't get it a blue pen, and the daughter has a blue pen, it's a pain. So whichever one you touch, you can modify either one. So I never have a need for that because I'm not going to use 2 pens at once. If I want to have the students come up and, okay, you're the red graph, you're the blue graph, you make a graph, I can use that. Or, again, I don't want them handling my marker, so I just put one in my pocket, I put them both in my pocket, and they just use their fingers. So I'm a fan of using the Smart Pen, and I said that it's blue, yeah. So that right there, blue. There's my finger. So that up there is only for your finger. This is for the pen. If you don't want to use the pen, then you don't have to worry about that. Any questions so far?
Are you able to lock your pen thickness to a certain thickness?
Yes. Now, every so often, I'll be writing, all of a sudden it turns into a different color, different thickness, like a default.
Yeah.
Even though that's just a glitch, I guess. I don't know. Especially on my board, when I get to right here, it all seems to fall apart. So I'll have a solid black line, and then green shows up down there, and I don't know. So once I do this, okay, this pen is now going to be green and a medium. It should stay like that. If I set it down and then I pick it back up, it will probably default back to black. So once I set it down to defaults, can I set a default so every time I pick it up it's the same? Probably. I've never done that. And I just quickly change what I want. And literally, first hour I start writing, this thing always just out of habit with my old dry erase markers, always in my pocket. I go to lunch, it's in my pocket. So it's always in my pocket, so it's always whatever I had done last. And if you notice, if you want to keep this up, that little pin button there lets you keep it there permanently. And when I don't want it, I can just do one of those.
So as long as it doesn't touch the.
So once it's there, it just
If it's in your
defaults.
pocket, it just keeps the same.
Every so often it glitches, the kids laugh, and I lose my mind. Okay, the eraser. It's the last on the list, but I want to show you because I'm going to erase a bunch of this. So your eraser, you can change the size. So I can erase with my finger that big, or this big, or this big. I never had a smart board, but I know that if you did the circle and touch, you still have that. Kids got a kick out of it. You can make the eraser as big as you want. So I can use my whole arm, and they got a kick out of that. So basically, and you also have your eraser right here, which is the small eraser, and I can still do the same thing. See, just like that. I'm drawing now all of a sudden. So I can do the same circle and touch, and it still erases. Or just the back of the hand. Now notice, I don't erase. I can't erase my fonts. I doubt I'll be able to erase this. So once you have shapes and other things that aren't just hand drawings, you have to get rid of them by deleting them. But anything else, see, that's how it always goes. So you can see, all right, that's everything I can erase. Everything else is on there, and I have to delete it if I want to get rid of it. So shapes. So for shapes, I can do the same thing. I can come up here and I can modify. So right here, I can draw myself a circle. If I want to change that circle, I have to do the arrow. I can highlight. Now I'm drawing again. So it says that the marker is still out there. So like I said, sometimes it's a little bit glitchy. But if I touch the circle, I can come over here and I can make it fill, solid. I can do all those different things. Line, style, colors, and thicknesses. I can change my color so I can do it after the fact. I could hit save, I think. I'm not seeing my save option up here. Oh, because I'm not on shapes anymore. If I go to my shapes and I go here, I now have the save option. So I want every circle to be no fill. I want every circle to be yellow and big. Hit save, and now every circle will be yellow and big. So I can modify that toolbar. You can't have a bunch of different circles though. At least I haven't found. I can't have my red circle, my green circle, my black circle. I have all the different shapes up there. You've got some shapes there. You also have some shapes there, so you can draw any of those. So I can click off that. And if I don't want this anymore, I do one of these. Oh, I got a circle. Whoops, I need to make sure I'm on my arrow. And this comes with repeatedly having this mistake happen. Whoops, I undo that one, get that out of there. So pretty soon it becomes habit of just clicking on that little arrow pointer so that you're not accidentally drawing and putting marks down every single time you touch the board. Font. This is, nope, that's not what's supposed to happen here. Let's try that again. So font. There we go. And it makes me a text box. I don't type on this ever. To me, I go to my computer and I can type in whatever it is I want. And so I can put in font that way if I don't want to handwrite it. So I can do that. Pardon me. Let's see here. The geo. So that's just, I can make, I've never had a need for I don't even know what a 16-sided shape is, but I can draw one. I can draw one if I want. Or I can draw a triangle again. There we go. So again, they can be glitchy. So I can do a bunch of different shapes. I can color them however I like. Again, I can set the color beforehand and do it. I can highlight after and change the color. Let's see, can I change it up here? Blue. Okay, so I can change it up there. I always just change it over. That's where I do my changing. So I can change it before and draw it. I can change it after I've drawn it. And I can also default so that the same color scheme always pops up. And line thickness and all those different things. Let's see here. Lines. I use these a lot in physics, whether I'm drawing vector arrows or whatever else. And so this is where I'll have, so right there, so I can draw a line. I can change everything. So this is where I will go here. I'll go to my options. Okay, this is going to be, it's going to end with an arrow. So this is going to be a red vector arrow for this particular part. Save it. The next one, this is going to be a blue arrow and a green arrow. So I can change all those just like we've already showed you. So I can do different lines. So I use that one a lot. Because it used to be if I wanted a really good straight line, I'd get out my ruler, but you can't do that on this anymore because of all the sensors. If you're using the whiteboard method, you put anything on there, all of a sudden it's erasing or it's drawing. So that's how you get your straight lines. Let's see here. And then fill, I never really use this one, but I can fill any color, I suppose. I can color, okay, thank you. Okay, blue, I guess, whatever. But you can fill in the colors. Just like the old Microsoft Paint forever ago. Now, once everything's on here, I go back to my arrow. Once everything's on here, I can move things. Okay, I can move the different things. I can move and that pops up again, so I don't want that. Undo. I can highlight. I can make my line point up here, so I can change the starting and ending points of my lines if I want to. And again, as we mentioned, erase. Erasing only works for hand drawing. So those black lines that I drew are the only hand-drawn lines. Even straight lines will not get erased. So if you wanted to erase part of it, you have to go about it some other way. You can't erase anything except hand drawings. Everything else you'll have to do a highlight, and you can hit the big red X as the shortcut for delete. So that's how you have to remove anything. You have to delete it unless it's a hand drawing. Okay, so if I were to have a drawing that I really liked, that I wanted to draw my own circle, what I can do is I can come over here. I can click on my options. So I can, oh, this is where I recognize the shape. That didn't seem to work when I tried it last time, but you can do all this. Clone is a single copy and paste. Cut, copy, paste, delete the usual. I can lock that in place so that that doesn't move anywhere, because right now I can touch it with my finger and I can move it around. So locking it in, I can do that. Flipping all those different things. The infinite cloner right here, Larry mentioned that one. I can hit the infinite cloner, and now I can make another orange 12-sided. I can make 1, 2, 3. I can make as many as I want from the original. I cannot make another one from here. I can make another orange thing. I can't make another one here. Touch this one and it moves. Touch the original and maybe I'm standing too close or something. Touch the original and it keeps on doing that. And it'll do that forever until the little infinite button gets undone. So I click on infinite cloner. Nope, I've got as many as I need. So that infinite cloner is good if you have a particular drawing or even a shape like this. I can clone any of these. And I can copy this one. I don't seem to need to because that just keeps showing up automatically. But I can infinitely clone anything up here, and I get, again, an infinite number until I'm done. So if you got a really good drawing that you're going to use multiple times, whether it's a progression or something like that, that's convenient. Let's see here. Options when I click on a shape. So let's put in a triangle here. So if I were to make some space here, and I put in a triangle. So I put in a triangle, options that I have for my triangle. Right there are my options. So I've got my clone, my infinite clone. So this one I learned just the other day. If I show and hide the vertices, I can modify this to any kind of triangle that I want. And once I'm satisfied there, I believe it's once I'm done, I click on there and I don't need to show those anymore. I have the option of showing the angles for all you math folks. I have the option. Just turn the thumbs up there. I can show relative length of the sides. What's going on back there? Flipping. If you haven't done a lot of work with Word whatnot, order simply means what do I want to be on the top of the page versus the bottom of the page. So if I got rid of my lengths here and I just drag this over. So the triangle is on top. What I can do is I can click order. I can send it backward, and now I can have the other shape on top. That's old stuff that if you've done any work with Word before or any of that, you know what that is. But if you haven't done that, you can do all those same old things there. Sounds and properties. I think properties just get you to the color scheme that you want to choose. Let's see here. Shape. So if I get rid of these, make some space, and I go back to my drawings, and I want something like that. Okay, that's an eraser. There we go. So now I just made those 3 separate drawings all together. The computer knows that, so, well, the eyes that I got delayed because of let's start over. The little glitch. There we go. So now, if I grab this whole thing, the whole clump moves. If I'm not sure what the time is, but if I wait a few seconds and start a different picture, that's its own little clump. So I can move whole pictures around. or I can obviously move the pieces around. If I don't want them to stay grouped like that, let's see here. So if I don't want them grouped, a lot of times it'll ungroup whether you want to or not. Because a lot of times I put my finger on, and next thing I know, because I've done this, where as I'm moving it around, okay, maybe this glitch has been fixed. Because what will happen with me, I've done this, I'll move my smiley face, and then I go to stop. That looks a good spot right there, and I go back, and it will immediately, so it hasn't done this, so this is a good thing. Sometimes it'll break it up into 3 pieces on you. And if that's the case, you just have to highlight it. Okay, there's the 2 pieces, either arrow, and I can group them together just like any other type of, so it'll ungroup, mine will ungroup it often. I'll group something and I'll move it, and the next thing, oh, there you go, there it is. Now it's magically ungrouped. I don't know why. I don't know if this one does the same thing or not. Magically ungrouped. So now,
Your finger on it. After you do this, the thing you can do with you holding your finger on it, when you end up in the spot,
yeah, whatever
don't
the,
take it off at the right amount of time.
yeah, so
How's that?
something causes it to ungroup. I don't know the exact reason behind it, but I can always undo, and I can always, with my arrow, select all of it and say, group it again. And now I should be good, and it'll ungroup on me again. So there's some reason, some way. I'll figure it out at some point in my history of teaching. I'll figure that out at some point. So you can move clumps of things around. And this is where, if I had a drawing that was in pieces and I want to group it together, so if I were drawing something and I wanted, it's been a while since I've done any molecule, but I'm sure there's a molecule that looks like this. I'm sure the old Mickey Mouse. And maybe I want green connecting them. I know this is what I know Larry likes doing these right here. So if that's some picture that I like, and I want a lot of it, that's where group them together. Any arrow should work. Group them together, and now I can go back and do a single clone or an infinite clone. These are a bunch of air puppies or something. Science people are laughing. If you're not science, you don't get it. So I can do that. And again, my original, I can't do anything to it. I can't move it. I can't do a single thing until I unclone it. So if I say, okay, that's great. That's what I want. Now I want all of these little pictures here. I'm going to move them all over here. And watch, the original stays. It is locked in until I unclone it. Now it can be moved.
Lock them, shrink them too. Shrink that big thing too.
Yeah, so you can spin it around. So you can do all those different things. So spin it around, grow it. And you can always undo to go back to where you've been. So if I like them back, if I like the block over here before, then I'm good to go. And notice I'm back on infinite clone again because I was doing the undoing. So that's an infinite clone ability. Let's see, groups, ungroup. Okay, so that's most of it. So if I go over here to insert, picture, so I can go find a picture, but because of the snipping tool, I really don't find any need to go to a picture unless I have a particular file. I can just find the image, do a snip. So if I wanted to, I could close this whole thing down. I could open up my snipping tool, new. I want that little my Rcs thing right there. That's pretty, okay. And now I can go back to my template, and then I can, if I'm using my computer, I can just do a Control V, but edit, paste, there we go. Bigger, there we go. I can spin it around, you can do whatever. So I really don't find a need for a lot of inserting when I can just cut it, throw it on there, and modify it to my liking. I don't want that anymore, I can just hit the delete button. Let's see, insert. What else do we have for insert that I wanted to show? Let's see here. You can do tables. So if you want to, if you're, for science or math, you're setting up a table, graphing, equations, measurement tools. I can put in a ruler. I can, let's see here. I can move the ruler where I want. I can grow the ruler, and somewhere over here, I just have to figure out. Trial and error. You can rotate the ruler. I just have to figure out where to But there we go. Every time I have to do trial and error to figure out where to place it, so I can do that. I don't want the ruler, I can just highlight it like any other picture and hit delete. Insert. You also have protractors. You can do a compass to draw to show drawing a nice circle. So again, is where I have to figure out how to move the things. So I can modify that and change the colors. So a lot of times it's just figuring out what part do I touch to move. There we go. So I can move that. So now I can draw myself circles, or portions of a circle. If I want a whole circle, I'm just going to use my circle button. But so I've got that. So if I don't want my compass anymore, or as his main would say, a compass. She's not listening. She's from Mississippi, so when she's talking about compasses, the kids get it. It's okay. So there's that. Other inserts. That looks good there. Going across, I don't do anything with format. Math, I've kind of tinkered with graphs a little bit. I can't really show you anything. So this is where math teachers, you've got some options there to do different things. I don't know them, so I'm not going to waste time me stumbling along trying to figure it out. So your tools, so those are all your pens. The one that I can show you here would be the irregular polygon. You can do different fills, and so I can do, all right, let's try that again. Tools, irregular polygon. I want that one, so try this one more time. What it should be doing, let's try a different one. It should be, there we go. It should be connecting where I place my dots, and so I can do my polygons that way. Tools, let's see, that's all I wanted to show for tools. Add-ons, there are, manage your add-ons, they have GeoGebra. There's a concept mapping. I haven't done anything with any of these. Everything I do, I just kind of made myself, but I'm sure these are very useful things. So add-ons are things that Smart Notebook has for to help make some templates of certain things. So in terms of things that I can share on the whiteboard, those are the things that I've learned, that I've done. How I use this, how I was using it at the end of last year at least. So if I have 3 physics classes, what I will do is I can set up a template maybe, or maybe I know I'm just starting with a whiteboard from scratch, and I make myself 3 original files for first, second, and third hour. First hour, I go through, I do everything I'm going to do. Okay, I'm all set, I'm done. I just set my file. I would save it as maybe Physics 1, Physics 2, Physics 3. I'll just leave my template here. So, no, let's do it the right way. Save as. There we go. So I could call this class number 1. And now I can go on to my desktop. So I can go to my desktop. Where am I at here? Class number 1. I can do a copy and a paste. And now I've got class 1. I can rename that one as class 2. So now I've got 2 identical files. So I can close this. I still have class number 1, and so I go through and I do my teaching. And I get done, and okay, I'm done. And now I open up file 2 for class number 2. I'm doing all the same stuff, but one picture might be better than the next. Layout, you like better the second, the third time. As you know, the second time is always better than, and so on. So I get done. I've got 3 files that are similar but not the same. And when I'm done teaching that day, what I do personally is I open up all 3 of them. I kind of, not necessarily literally side by side, I suppose we could make them go side by side, but I look at slide 1. I like this one best. I like slide 2 here, slide 3, slide 4. I pick the best slides, I just put them into one, and I save it. And I save it as the date, or I save it as lesson number 1, or however I save it. I delete the other 2, because now I have 1. So this is the end of Wednesday's class. This was the finished product. And I can put it to a PDF, and I can post it, I can email it to absent students, I can do whatever I want with it. And then, if this is a continued lesson, Thursday, I take my finished product, and I copy and paste 2 more, and I rename these new ones, class 1, 2, and 3. I can build on this one, or I can save this one, archive it, so to speak, in my own settings, and copy and paste and make 3 new ones. Okay, here's day 2, and I get done. I make the best one, and I save one, and so I can have day 1, day 2, day 3. Or if I want, I just have a compilation. This is after 2 days, here's my file. After 3 days, here's my file. And that's what I was doing. If I had, we don't have internet. I'll try the internet here in just a second. Because if it's working, I'll show you what I was doing by the end of the school year to help the students out, whether they wanted to watch this, revisit it on their own or whatever else. Larry?
Can they revisit it if they don't have Smart?
Yep, because what they're going to do is they're going to, what they're going to do is I'm done with this one. I'm going to file, I'm going to export it, and I personally prefer the PDF. I can do thumbnails, as you can see. I can do the full page. Since I'm not printing it, I usually just do a full page. And this is where, if you remember way back when, I said if I extend the page, it makes it kind of more a standard shape, which means that if I extended it, it'd go all the way down, so it'd still fit on a single page. And so now, if I'm satisfied with that, I hit save. And so now this is where, this would be after I took my 3 different files, put them into one that I liked the best, and this would be, okay, save it as, okay, this is, what's today's date, the 29th, so this is 8/29/18. That's what I would do personally. I save it, and so now, hopefully it's saved to the same folder. Larry, I have to look at it. I got special cross-country stuff for close reference. So there it is. So there's my PDF. So Larry, they do not need to have Smart because I have it now saved as a PDF. PDFs weren't opening earlier. Oh, here we go. So there it is. And so it's color, it's saved in color, and they can go to, I'm not a PDF expert, but I'm drawing on it now. So I have that there. Oh, I haven't, yeah, it's saved. Okay, so I have this, and so now what I would do, and let's see if I have internet. Edmodo is my thing. Nope. So what I would do is my Edmodo page, what I would do is I would just put it as post. I can put it in a folder, but there's just right up front, post, I just post it. Notes through August 29th. And the next day, I don't delete that, I just notes through August 30th. And I just keep on doing it. When I'm done with the chapter, and again, I was doing this at the end of last year once I kind of figured out how I wanted to do it. So as of now, what I do is at the very end, I have one big PowerPoint of everything, finished notes for momentum or whatever, and now it's up there. And I can put that into my actual archived file folder for physics. I can just leave it as a post, and I can save this. I mean, I did really good notes this year. I got to remember this. I can save it, or I can say, you know what, I'm doing this out of my handwritten notes. I'm just copying. I can do this whole thing because I've got the hard copy right here, and I'll start from scratch. Because like I said, I always present with it because that's just my style. So it's that PDF. If you use the whiteboard feature, which you can do on any of these boards without a computer, you can save that to a PDF. But you scroll sideways. If you know what I'm talking about, you scroll sideways, and when you save it to a PDF and you open it up, it's like this long ribbon, and it's not very useful compared to a typical type of PDF that the kids would have seen. And so I've got a little bit of time here. I think technically we have until 12:30, but once I'm done, feel free to go. The last thing I wanted to show you, I can't show you Edmodo. Last thing I wanted to show you though was various ways to make reviews. Real simple. I'm not that creative, so this one was kind of a basic one. At my computer, I use the font tab, and I can do this with my mouse, so you can see the little arrow there, so I can click on font, and I can make myself, stopped reading, okay, thank you. So I can make myself, let's try that again without being interrupted. So I can make myself a font list, and I can type in whatever else, and I can change all the colors. And when I do all that, I can end up with something that looks like this. So this is one where I have a deck of cards with student names on them, so it's a random drawing. So I call one person up, and they have to decide, does this, okay, sorry, does this one go here, or does this one go over here? And so they can go up there, and I say, you have to move something. You can, if someone puts something in the wrong spot, your classmate can come up and correct it. You got to move something. This one down here was simply just filling in, making an equation, what's the variable, what's the unit. I got a whole bunch of stuff over here, so it gets the kids out of their seats and they can move things around. That shouldn't have jumped so much like that, but oh no, you put it in the wrong spot. That goes over here, and so I'm not sure why it's copying and pasting, but that's not the intention of that. Clicking and dragging and moving things around. I also have, let's see here. I think I don't have it. Oh, yeah, I don't have it. But what I could do, let's see what I can do right here. I mean, obviously you can think of many ways. The kids can come up and they can fill in things. It doesn't have to be you. Just make sure when you're doing that, you have it set up so that when they come up and they touch the board, they're going to be making whatever you want them to make in terms of, thickness and color, whatever else. So that's what I would do also with worksheets that I had given before. So in terms of anything that I had to show you, this was my little handwritten list here. This was everything that I have for you. Real quick, what I decided, I think this should be unique enough, is when I save this to YouTube, I'll do Rcs Smart Ifp. Those letters, I don't know how many of those letters go together in the YouTube world. Ifp. So when I have internet, I will take the video and I will post it so you can search that. I can add something if someone thinks that I can make it more unique so that when you search it, it comes right up. But that should be okay. And that's in terms of things that I have done and learned. That's what I have. And if there's questions, we'll keep going through questions. When there are no more questions, right before we go, we'll hit stop on the video and I'll show you what the video looks like so you can see how that works.
Have you used the equation center?
I have not. I think I've tried before, and it's not. It wasn't as nice as using one on Word, so I haven't.
No. Were you using the old equation editor on Word that they removed, or the new one that's built in with the new version?
I think the last time I used the equation editor, I think it was the old one. I'm not sure. I can't remember the last time I went and modified some of my equation sheets. So I don't know. I can't answer that one. I'm not sure. But if I math, equations, should have popped up. So I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but it does subscripts, I'm assuming. If you're writing it out, it will, if you were to do that one where it sends it to the font, it'll make it a subscript.
One thing, the question is asking about the fonts one. So if I have found that subscripts and mathematical symbols, it doesn't do a great job. So I once wrote an equation just for fun with the kids, and it turned into some weird combination of letters. So if you're a math teacher and you're trying to, you want equations in there, you use it to do it by hand and it won't turn into a font, or I haven't worked with the equation editor on this one.
I think more chemical formula. Yeah, just don't change it into a font. Make sure I have good handwriting. I don't like writing with my
I'm pretty sure no on subscripts.
No subscripts.
So, and I'm not sure there's a way to modify that so
So
that
just use your, yeah, no.
What if you get a
So-
cubicle?
I think it'll make it a 2. It does do numbers, but it will not do subscripts or superscripts.
That's better sometimes.
Oh, a nice A. That's even better.
Yeah, so like I said, everything that I've done up here was just me playing around, tinkering. Kids, you like the pink better or you like the blue better? It's just that's how I've done all of this. So if there's something you're looking for, equation editors or better fonts, just play around. Other questions before we stop the video and see how it looks? Okay, hopefully it's been going along this whole time. So let's see. So Right here, the little video icon. We're at 54 minutes and 50 seconds, so we're gonna call it a day.